Look, I'd like to start with a bit of positivity because it's probably been bereft in this building for 2 years, and listening to some of the contributors opposite to me, there is a note to be optimistic, you know. I'm just going to cite the words of Dr. Tony Hole-in here at the Health Committee this week. The number of confirmed cases in hospital has decreased, with the average number of newly confirmed cases in hospital each day also reducing. Total number of cases in ICU, daily admissions, cases requiring mechanical ventilation all decreased. The number of COVID-19 patients in receipt of advanced respiratory support in hospital settings outside of ICU has also reduced. And we all know that this has been a collective effort. And everybody, to be fair, up here today has acknowledged the great work of the frontline healthcare workers, and we all must do that, and we owe it to them. And so too we must acknowledge the compliance of the vast majority of the Irish people in terms of ensuring that we have gotten to where we are today. So I think there is a note of optimism in the air. I think we should acknowledge that. People opposite again will call for public inquiries. I too will put my name to that call, particularly in relation to Ballino Care Choice Nursing Home in Cork, where there were a number of deaths. And obviously I think that merits investigation, as will other deputies here cite various nursing homes across the country. But it's important to stress, and to be fair, members opposite have stressed, it can't be just finger pointing, blame game stuff here. We want to get to the root cause of what happened in these institutions, what we can do going forward into the future to ensure that it never happens again if we find ourselves in this situation. Just one other word in relation to the CMO at the Health Committee this week. He did say that in relation to Omicron, as well as our experience of it, it indicates that the burden of severe health outcomes appears reduced compared to previous waves of infection. Now that obviously is very encouraging. If that is the case, it shows the different strains of the virus are waning in terms of their strength. But if we have data on that, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it published. And leading on from that, I'd also like to see what our plans are in relation to long COVID. I've seen in other countries across the continent there have been the establishment of different units in medical settings which are going to analyse and care for people that are suffering from the ill effects of long COVID now and into the future. And God knows how long that those people will suffer from the ill effects of COVID. Earlier it was mentioned in relation to remote working and the benefits of remote working may be lost. Now I know that we are planning on bringing legislation in that regard, but one thing that I think that we can all say inside here, in various settings, in different settings, remote working has been predominantly a positive aspect, and I think we can't lose the benefits of that. And government needs to work with unions and employers and encourage where possible remote working. I think it's something that we can't afford to lose. Just in relation to disability services, in my own area in Cork, we're being told that services are operating at 75 to 80%. They still haven't fully returned, and that's being felt on the ground. We do have a variety of posts that are unfilled, but at the same time, organisations like Cope, Brothers of Charity, they are struggling to hire staff at the moment. So I really do think that we need to double down and put great emphasis on the fact that we need to get that staffing levels right again, because many of the people that we're talking about there have some of the most complex physical, mental and health needs amongst our population. So I do find it ironic in one sense that we talk about the benefits of remote working, for example, and how people suffered often 2 or 3 hours a day in a car commuting and whatever the case may be. But we still haven't had a debate in terms of disability services and people going to ASD classes in schools, often for 2 or 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'd love to have that debate someday about the adverse mental impacts that that's having on those people. Undoubtedly, the pandemic has caught us all off guard and lessons have to be learned. I'd like us to have a serious debate here about the preparations for the next event. And I'm not sure when that event might be. I'm hoping we'll never have one. Again, not in our lifetimes anyway, but I do believe that we need to build now for the future and have that open, honest debate. Go on, Margaret.